everybody, it's the Bulls Show, aka Aidan, and welcome back to another video. Today we've got a Chicago Bulls and Denver Nuggets game reaction. The Chicago Bulls, on the last away game of this Western Conference trip, decided that they wanted to seal our Western Conference trip on a positive note, beating the Denver Nuggets, I believe, in the first time in 6 years, and to do it away from home as well brings it all the more special. And we're going to be talking all about this game in this video. But before we get started, please like and subscribe to the Bulls Show, turn notifications on, and let me know in the comments below your thoughts about the game today. Who was your player of the game, and just did we perform well enough, and how strongly do you think this brings the confidence going back into home state, back to Chicago, and back into the Eastern Conference? We won this game 114-108. Now, this game had its ups and downs just like any other game, and I think we all knew that Denver, with or without Nikola Jokic today, was going to be a strong test for the Chicago Bulls. Again, as I mentioned before, we have not beaten them in 6 years. This is a really big deal for the Chicago Bulls. I think this is the first time since 2006 or something like that that we won away against the Denver Nuggets. So it's history breaking, ladies and gentlemen. We've broken a streak of games that has gone on for a long time, and we should be very proud of the performance today. What I liked about the Chicago Bulls today is that we decided that we had to make sure that we ended up ending the game well. We didn't have the best fourth quarter in terms of the actual score sheet. Denver scored 30 points and we scored 26. But we made sure that when we needed those clutch buckets, the clutch buckets were there. It's a completely different story from what you saw from Portland to today against Denver. They were still forcing up shots. It's still DeMar and Zach taking them. But I guess the difference in today's game is that the Chicago Bulls made their shots and the Chicago Bulls ended up winning the game. And that's just how it goes sometimes. In the clutch moments, whoever makes the shots will win the game. Simple as that. And we ended up going to the free throw line. We ended up making a lot of our shots. And you have to give credit to the Chicago Bulls where it's due. They had a much different game compared to Portland, and they did not collapse under the pressure in today's game. I also like the ability that we went to go into the free throw line. I believe we were 22 from 22 tonight from the free throw line. We were very efficient at the line. We are one of the more efficient free throw teams in the NBA, and that is a lot because of DeMar and because of Zach and because of other players that are making their shots. We are a very effective free throw shooting team, and that being not missing a free throw pretty much from the line was big as well. 22 points from the free throw line in total. It's a good sight for the Chicago Bulls. I also liked that our bench really helped us today, and two players specifically would be Ayo and Derrick Jones Jr. Those two players had massive impacts in today's game, and Javonte Green as well. Someone else we cannot mention, despite the box sheet, the box score, whatever the stats may say, you can't deny Javonte Green's presence in the fourth quarter was massive for the Chicago Bulls. A 6'5" player playing on Aaron Gordon, who had an unbelievable game today, playing on Green, who had an unbelievable game today as well. Both of them had really strong games to the Denver Nuggets. Javonte Green came in and held his own, and he had to do that. So good bench production from the Chicago Bulls as well. And all the way around, it was just a better game. The bench wasn't great last game against Portland. It was better today. The shots weren't falling in the fourth quarter against Portland. They were falling today. It's just a completely different game, and it goes to show on a game-on-game basis, things will change for this team. But the most important thing is that we entered this Western Conference trip on a positive note. We went this entire Western Conference trip 3-2 as our record. I think everybody would have taken that at the end of this Western Conference trip. You can't win them all, and the West Coast trips are usually the hardest ones that we may face. And although we got some lucky turns in terms of injury, obviously Jokic being out today, we have to take what's put in front of us, and we have to walk out of the West with a positive record, and that's what we've done. And we've just going to show that we're still one of the top teams in the East right now, and we have to take advantage of the games in front of us, and this is a perfect example of that. And you have to give full credit to the Denver Nuggets as well. They did not quit, to say the least. Although they played small, it felt like they were playing a little bit bigger. They played Aaron Gordon. The post moves for a lot of these players were really strong. They ended up, I think, scoring a lot of points in the paint as well, and then that allowed the perimeter shooting to open up, and you saw some good shots from some of their players from the perimeter as well. You have to give credit to Denver. No matter with Jokic or without Jokic, they're an extremely strong team. They play a lot differently than what any of us could have expected today, and they kept in the fight. and that's what they do. That's what they've been doing since they started to become a little bit better and make the playoffs consistently. They've stuck into games and give themselves a good chance to win those games. But this is our night, ladies and gentlemen. And with that being said, let's talk about the individual performances. Let's talk about the starters and the bench performers for the Chicago Bulls. And we do have a lot to get through in this video. Starting off with Lonzo Ball, who had 7 points, 3 rebounds and 6 assists. This is Lonzo Ball's one of his more quiet games in terms of this, but again, his impact defensively I think is very, very strong. He had to guard players like Aaron Gordon today as well. He had to switch on to bigger players and he had to try and hold his own. Shooting wise, this is not his best night. 1 from 6 from the 3-point line, 3 from 9 in total. Not the greatest from Lonzo Ball. I do like when he attacks the rim. I think that's where we see the best from Lonzo Ball, because that opens up his 3-point game. He'll end up becoming a lot more open in the 3-point shooting. And then if he does attack the paint, he has the size advantage to finish over most of the guards that he's driving on. So he needs to keep up his driving performances, and if he keep on driving into the paint, he will get a lot more shots. His facilitating was nice with 6 assists. I'm not sure if he led the team in assists. I believe he did. So another really strong night for Lonzo Ball. Not the best shooting night, but everywhere else I thought he was okay, and he deserves a lot of praise. He also got a steal in this game. Zach LaVine had 36 points, 5 rebounds and 4 assists with 1 steal. Zach LaVine was 58% from the field today, shooting 14 from 24 and 4 from 9 from the 3-point line. Zach LaVine, a really strong third quarter. It's been a consistent theme with Zach LaVine to see him have strong third quarters, but the difference in this game, his fourth quarter was very much needed, scoring really big shots for the Chicago Bulls. And look, we talked about this in the last video. If you haven't seen the clutch situations video, I highly suggest you check that out. And I said in that video, whether you like it or not, it's going to be Zach LaVine or DeMar DeRozan taking the last shots. It's just the way that it is, and it's the way it's going to be. So when we see that Lonzo Ball's not participating in the clutch as much, people are going to get angry. When you see that Alex Caruso and Derrick Jones Jr. or Javonte Green are not active players in the clutch, people are going to get angry. It's just the way that it is. But Zach LaVine and DeMar is going to take the last shots. I might not like it. You guys might not like it. The whole fan base might not like it, but it's just the way that this team is designed at the moment, and that's how it's going to be throughout the course of the games. And today, on this day, it was better. It was worth it, and we won the game because of Zach LaVine's clutch performance and DeMar's ability to get to the line late. Simple as that. It's just the way that it is. I don't mean to step on anybody's toes and get people furious when I say that. But we've seen it over the course of the games that it's going to be Zach or DeMar. It's not an insult or a compliment to any of those players, but we've just seen it. We know what it's going to take now in the fourth quarter. We know what's going to happen. So we have to wait and see if there are any adjustments that will be made. But today, Zach LaVine did his job. He made some really clutch shots. That killer instinct that people were talking about, it was there today for Zach LaVine. So I can't complain when he's making shots like that and he's ending up putting teams to the sword, which is what we should be doing when we have the lead the whole game. We need to make sure we end those teams. And DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine, give them all the criticism you want. In this game specifically, this one single game, they did their job and they finished the game for us. So that's what I'm very happy about. And obviously we'll talk more about it down the line when there might be a game where they don't finish the job. And that's when we bring that conversation up again. But I can't complain about this game whatsoever. DeMar DeRozan had 26 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists with 2 steals. DeMar DeRozan, again, a really inefficient night for him, only 33% from the field. He didn't make a 3 today, shooting 7 from 21. The positive about DeMar DeRozan, he got to the foul line very late. And again, those free throws really helped out the Chicago Bulls. We were forced into situations where Denver were fouling us, and the referees gave the foul calls this time around. Again, after not really giving us the foul calls against Portland, very little foul calls went our way. This was definitely a situation where I felt like the referees had to call this. It was plain and simple. They saw the mistakes in Portland and they made up for it in Denver. And Denver were fouling us. It's not the situation where Denver wasn't committing fouls. They were fouling. It's as simple as that. You could call it any way you want. You have to make the tough calls in the clutch. That's what we talked about again in the other video with the referees. It's scary. It could cost the team a win or a loss, but if the foul is there, you have to call it. And they called it. They called the Austin Rivers reach-in foul. They called, I'm sorry, I don't know who the player was, but they pushed, it was a blatant push on DeMar DeRozan in the last foul as well. Both of them are clear fouls, and both of them were called, and that's what you want to see. That's just, it's as simple as that, really. When the calls are there, you have to give them, and we definitely got them in today's game. Alex Caruso had 4 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, 1 block. Defensively, he was fine, but Alex Caruso is an up and down performer for me today, because I feel like in terms of today, maybe not specifically, but today, Alex Caruso probably would have been a player we could have used a little bit off of the bench. He does not really fit the starting lineup in terms of scoring. He was 1 from 8 from the field today, 12% in total, and he's not had good scoring nights in total since he's joined the starting lineup. He's there for his defense, so I can understand that. He's there for his playmaking, I can understand that. And he is there because he does complement some of the starting lineup. But Alex Caruso, when he's on the bench, is a completely different player than when he is starting. And I don't know if seeing him start is the best idea right now. But at the end of the day, we can't complain. We won the game. We won a very big game. And Alex Caruso's defense was absolutely phenomenal. He was clamping up players left, right, and center. And again, Will Barton, one of the better isolation players on their team, did not really have a sniff in today's game. And again, the defense of Lonzo Ball and the defense of Alex Caruso, in my opinion, were huge parts of trying to limit him in today's game, because we knew that Aaron Gordon, Will Barton would get a lot of points in today's game just because of their situation. Tony Bradley, 8 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists. What I liked about Bradley today, he was aggressive from the very beginning. He didn't play a lot of game time because we went very small. He only played 15 minutes today, which again, he probably could have gone away with a little bit more minutes than 15. But we went small ball and they went small ball. We matched up with each other, and as I said against the Lakers, if you try to match up with the Chicago Bulls, we have been playing small ball all season. So we know what it's like to play small ball, and other teams might be able to do it on occasion, but we've been doing it our whole season. So I have the advantage. We have the advantage when other teams play small ball. So Tony Bradley didn't get a whole lot of minutes, but he didn't miss a shot today. He was aggressive from the very beginning. He took advantage of pick and roll situations. He took advantage of no Nikola Jokic in the game. And we ended up seeing a really strong performance. One of the better performances from Tony Bradley this season. So you have to give full credit where it's due. And I really enjoyed his game today. Now let's move forward to the bench, ladies and gentlemen, because this is where things get extremely interesting. Starting off with Derrick Jones Jr. He had 16 points, 8 rebounds, and 1 block. Now, the only negative I could say about Derrick Jones Jr. is once again the foul trouble. The foul trouble, he is playing a position where he's not exactly the strongest player on the team. He's very athletic, but once he gets into the post, it's not going to end well for him because he is not really a strong player. Aaron Gordon will bully him in the post. Other players will bully him in the post. That's when we need help. That's when we need communication in our teammates. But offensively, this man was unbelievable, shooting 70% from the field, 7 of 10. I believe he had a lot of dunks in this game as well, pick and rolls. He was really phenomenal, and we needed those 16 points off of the bench, especially when he was basically our starter coming off of the bench. He played 23 minutes today, and he got 16 points with 8 rebounds and a block. You can't ask for much more of a bench player. Simple as that. You simply cannot ask for much more than what he showed in today's game, and it was very much needed. Then we got Ayo, who had 10 points, 8 rebounds, and 1 steal, shooting 50% from the field. Ayo is a game changer, ladies and gentlemen. When Ayo is scoring, when Ayo is making threes, when Ayo is going to the paint, we are a team that can definitely use that scoring right now. When we see Kobe White, he's not really performing as good as we would like him to be. And of course, he's still adjusting in his period in the NBA so far. Ayo stepping up is exactly what we need to see, and he has stepped up in today's game, getting a near double-double with Derrick Jones Jr., the two main bench players on this team today, and they both had amazing games coming off of that bench, and they should both be really proud of how well they played, because we dominated their bench in my opinion, and those two are really big responsibilities for that. And not to mention the last player that we'll be talking about, or not the last player that made a huge impact, Javonte Green, who had 5 points, and 9 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, 1 block. This man was playing center at 6'5". This man was playing power forward. He had big responsibilities on really big players. And I thought he did his thing. He held his own. He showed his toughness. He showed his ability to get steals, to get good rebounding position. And at the end of the day, we are asking a 6'5" player, one of the shorter players on our team, as a matter of fact, to play in the center position, and he is doing a decent job in that center position against a small ball lineup nonetheless. It's a really good game from Javonte Green, and again, the box sheet might not show this, but he was absolutely phenomenal when it comes to the defensive end. In the fourth quarter, when we needed it most, he was there, he was tough. He was making sure that life was very difficult for other players, and fair play to Aaron Gordon for making a lot of tough shots over the Chicago Bulls. But we made him take extremely tough shots, and he made them. That's all we can do. That's all we can ask from Javonte Green. He can't block every shot. He can't stop every shot. NBA players are NBA players. They will make tough shots. But Javonte Green put them in really tough situations, and I think he did a really good job in the fourth quarter and just throughout the game. And then we'll talk about Coby White, who got his first 2 points of his season this year with 2 points and 2 rebounds. The only thing I can say about Coby White is that there's a fine line, I guess you could say, from being passive and aggressive. And it's a balancing issue with Coby White that he has to figure out, because in this game, he was very much too aggressive. He put himself in situations where he was in no man's land. He was one of the biggest rules in the NBA, and especially in terms of the Chicago Bulls. You don't make passes while you're in the air because you're always more likely to turn it over, and you only have a limited amount of time to make the right play. Coby White put up a pass in the air that led to a turnover. He ends up getting a charge called on him because he was trying to take a shot over 3 players in the paint. And again, it's a fine line. Last 2 games he was passive. This game he was very aggressive. He shot 1 from 7, 14%. He wasn't great in terms of this game. It's just a matter of trying to find the balance. And again, I know his shot will fall eventually. He took some really good shots in this game that just wasn't falling. His shots will fall. But it's a good step in the right direction. He scored his first points in the NBA in this season. And hopefully that can lift the lid off of things in future games where we might need him a little bit more than what we needed him in today's game. And that is it, ladies and gentlemen, in terms of the bench and the starting lineup. Now moving into the must improve. This is going to be a tough one to call for the Chicago Bulls. But for me, I know this is going to be a controversial decision, but I am going to pick Alex Caruso in the starting lineup because of his lack of scoring in this game. I thought defensively he was absolutely amazing. I thought defensively he is their best player in the team defensively today. I don't think there's any question about it, especially with how he had one-on-one plays and he ends up doing a fantastic job. But I don't think his position in the starting lineup is necessarily secure, and I think the scoring issues that we've seen over the last recent games is why. If he makes his shots today, then we are in a blowout situation where we're blowing out the Denver Nuggets. If he made anywhere near the shots he could have made. But he missed the shots, and his playmaking wasn't always there today as well. So I guess for me, he is my must improve. It's a really hard decision to give. And I will say Coby White is also in that conversation as well. But for Coby White, it's still a gelling process, so I don't want to give him too much criticism too soon. It's too early for me to criticize Coby White for the games that he's having when he's still adjusting. When it goes down to 10 games, 15 games down the season, then I will give the criticism that Coby White deserves. But he's still gelling, and he still needs to get involved, and he still needs to find his way in this team. And until then, I don't want to give him too much criticism. The player of the game has to be Zach LaVine. Zach LaVine was strong in the fourth. Zach LaVine was strong in the third. Zach LaVine was strong overall. He had a really good, efficient night as per usual. And again, he's the one that's going to take the last shot. As I keep on saying, it might hurt people, it might offend people that Lonzo's not taking the last shot, or that Lonzo's not going to be involved in the possession, which in my opinion is still a big issue, and Lonzo Ball should be trying to facilitate in clutch situations. But at the end of the day, today, this game against the Denver Nuggets, where we're 11-5, this game, it worked out for Zach LaVine, and he is my player of the game. And speaking of, the Bulls record is 11-5. We are tied for the top Eastern Conference spot. I believe in terms of our ranking, just to figure it out real quick, we are going to be third. We are third in the Eastern Conference. We are tied, or we're not tied actually, because Brooklyn did win. But yes, we are tied with the Miami Heat for second with 11-5. And yeah, a really strong way to end out this Western Conference trip. 3-2 record. You can't ask for much more for the Chicago Bulls. I know the 2 losses were really, really bad, but the wins is all that matters, and we ended up walking away positively from this Western Conference trip. And our next game will be at home against the New York Knicks. We will verse Denver one more time at the United Center, and this is the second time we'll be versing the New York Knicks. Last time we versed the New York Knicks, they walked away from a win with our home turf. Patrick Williams got injured in that game. DeMar DeRozan missed the final shot of the game, and at the end of the day, maybe there might be revenge on the Chicago Bulls' mind. The Knicks will have a back-to-back, and the Bulls will be traveling from west to east. So it's going to be a tough time for, I think, both of these teams. I'm not expecting the biggest offensive display from either of those teams, but hopefully we can walk away with a victory against the Knicks. Have a wonderful and safe day, Bulls Nation. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the Chicago Bulls versus the Knicks game reaction, and I'll also see you for Bulls Weekly very, very soon. Take care.